the Duncan Student Center alongside Tyler Reidy, Trey Cotey. I'm Jacob Irons. Weather's starting to get a little colder. That only means one thing. That means basketball is back in South Bend. And guys, we've got a lot to talk about with this new team. There's a lot to be excited for here in South Bend for the hardcore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's my favorite time of the year. And I did the math a little earlier. It is only 4 months until March. I cannot wait. Big things coming.
That's a lot of math for an arts and letters guy.
You want some math from me, too? We got, 5 games here on campus within the next 24, 36 hours. It's going to be a fun weekend. Great way to start about it. Talking about men's and women's basketball are already underway this season.
Yeah. Coming up on this week's show, there is a lot to talk about for this men's basketball team. You're looking at Michael Burton and Markus Burton. How is he studying to be a phenomenal freshman? Then, ultimately, Shrewsberry coming in. And once again, Notre Dame already played Niagara once this year. We'll talk about the highlights coming up right now. So let's get right into it. Notre Dame in Niagara, the Purple Eagles, their fellow Catholic university, having some fun times. They start their season off on Monday. Niagara up by 2 early in the game. Ahmad Henderson for Niagara would start hot in his first career game, hitting this three to put the Purple Eagles up 5. In the first game with 12:45 remaining, Niagara up 8. Henderson driving down the court, hands it off to Kwane Marble, who takes it to the lane, spins right into the bucket. Eagles leading by 10. 10:17 remaining in the first. Notre Dame would start making a push thanks to freshman Markus Burton, who drives into the lane, pushes past the defender, and gets the foul. He would make the free throw. Notre Dame within 7. In response, on the other side, Henderson sees the open Yo Bang Mensah, slamming it down with 2 hands to put Niagara back up by 6. With under a minute to play in the first half, Niagara leading by 5. Burton drives and lobs one up into his fellow Frederick Carey Booth for the alley-oop. South Bend is starting to become a slam fest in November. Then Niagara leading by 1 heading into the half. Now 13:48 remaining in the second half. Carey Booth is left open and he strokes a 3. The big man getting it done beyond the arc. Notre Dame leading for the first time in the contest. 8:18 left in the game. Purple Eagles down 5. Lucas Bumbalo drives into the paint and sees the wide open Obang Mensah, who gets fouled and for the and 1 would make the free throw. Then Niagara leading by 2 with 6:25 remaining. Markus Burton puts up a contested 3 and uses every part of the iron to roll it in. Burton has a historic night, passing LaFonso Ellis as the most points scored by a freshman in their debut with 29. Markus Burton is one of those talents. He has been so strong all year long, and you hope it's going to be that for all year.
I mean, absolutely. And he looked absolutely wonderful in his first game for the Irish. And he's a local guy. He's from Mishawaka. And he committed before Shrewsberry took over as the coach. And he's stuck with it through the coaching change, seeing Mike Bray gone. And the big question remains, can he do it in the ACC? I mean, Niagara's all well and good if you can score 29 against them. Can you do it against Duke, the number 2 overall team in the AP Top 25? Can you do it against Virginia, UNC, Miami, who was a Final Four team last year? That's going to be a real question. He is only 5'11", and as a freshman, he's got to take on a pretty big role on this team. But he does have that closer ability that this team desperately needs. They need someone like a Jalen Pickett from Penn State for last year for Shrewsbury that you can give at the end and say, hey, go get us a bucket. I think he has the ability to be that guy this season.
Yeah, it was really special being in that arena, hearing him saved for last in the introductions. Big ovation from the Purcell Pavilion crowd for the local kid. And you're absolutely right. He showed out. And you mentioned the potential difficulty and the challenge of going into ACC play. And this is where what Markus Burton did so well throughout his Kingsman High School career becomes such a major factor, scoring on all 3 levels. That's the advertisement on this freshman. We know from Niagara, his performance, that he can go in off the dribble, score inside, get tough buckets, but can he hit in the mid-range? Can he hit from outside? Notre Dame really struggled early on to shoot from distance in that Monday night victory. So if Markus Burton can accomplish those 3 things to help him adjust to the difficulties of caliber defenders he will face in the Atlantic Coast Conference, that's going to help him out and help the Irish win.
It's going to help him out a lot, and something to make you have to emphasize with Markus Burton. He was committed to Mike Bray. It was a Mike Bray commitment. He wanted to play for his hometown school. Mike Brey leaves, says he's going to go take a step away from college basketball. He ultimately moves up and does a great job of staying with his commitment and coming and playing for a factor for this Notre Dame Fighting Irish team. And it begs the question, along with Burton, there's a lot of newcomers for this team. This team returns 1.6% of points for Notre Dame this year. It's a brand new team. You can't look at last year's, ultimately, their film, their tape, their stats. It's all because of, at the end of the day, you have to look, this is a new team. This is basically with playing with an entire new locker room.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at differences from last season with these newcomers, you start with the inside, because last year Notre Dame, it was really just Nate Laszewski as far as being a consistent player that could work inside the paint, and even him, he was more of a stretch big, not necessarily a traditional big-time player like Paul Atkinson was the year before. You had Vin Allen Lubin, the freshman who ultimately transferred out, but he was injured pretty often. So I'm looking at the rotating big man potential for the Irish with Kerry Booth, Tae Davis, Keba Njai, who's still waiting to come back from a hand injury. We'll wait and see if he can get back maybe in a couple weeks to a month in that one. But Notre Dame, to get more big men into the game is going to be a major key. Notre Dame last season struggled with its depth, had big problems closing games out, especially late, and had issues, especially early in the season when the ACC losses started to pile up, rebounding its opponents, out-rebounding its opponents, managing the glass, especially getting offensive rebounds. Those three, combined with a little bit of perimeter shooting abilities as well, could really help them out of there.
Yeah, you're looking at the big guys, and I'm more focused on the guards. And this team lost their two main guards last year, both to the transfer portal, with Cormac Ryan going to North Carolina and J.J. Starling going up to Syracuse, both staying in the ACC. Those should be good games when they come back to town. But this backcourt is extremely young. I mean, obviously we know Burton, but even Braden Shrewsberry on a wing. He was a three-star coming out of high school, coach's son. I'm looking for him to have a big year. He started, played a lot of minutes. He didn't shoot too well. He only went 1 for 4 from deep with 7 points, but the shots will come. He looked confident, and that's all that really matters in your first collegiate game. And then another guy, Logan Imes, who was initially committed to Penn State with Shrewsbury and then switched his commitment, followed his coach. He's coming off the bench as a point guard, and he's not going to do anything crazy this season. Just control the pace, come off the bench, and handle the pressure when he needs to. And then Julian Roper's a guy that I'm really interested in this season. He's coming off 2 seasons at Northwestern. He averaged about 4 points a game in each season. He's going to have a much greater role this year, and I'm excited to see what he can do.
There's a lot to talk about with these transfers. When you look in, you have a lot of energy. A guy that I think I am high in on is Imes. Imes is going to play a very pivotal role as that sixth man. I think he has a little bit of the Cormac Ryan tendencies of having a strong shooting performance in that shooting guard role. He'll come off the bench. And something you already have to like about Micah Shrewsberry and his team, he's going to be using everybody on the bench. We'll talk about the Shrewsberry effect and where Notre Dame can expect to be at the end in March, which is only 4 months away. But this is Shamrock Sports on NDTV.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ND Sunrise.
This is the
review of the Keenan Review.
That's right, we've got a big game in Sin City.
Plot twist, I am the Grim Reaper.
Overall, this year's event was a rousing success.
Would Notre Dame be the first one to accept ASL as a foreign language as a department?
Once again, I'm Elena Morgan from ND Sunrise, signing off.
Hi Irish, my name is Elisa Honey and I'm NDTV Director of Operations. If you'd like to support NDTV, make sure to click on the link on the screen or in our description. It's an Amazon link, will take you straight to the site, and any purchase you make through that link, we receive a small portion of the revenue. This is a great way to support NDTV and get all those things you need for the perfect Notre Dame tailgate. I'm talking, mugs and flags and hats and all the merch that you need. So make sure to click on that link and support NDTV. We're here for all of you. Thank you.
Look at it, bring in a new coach, and it's for the first time since over 8,000 days Notre Dame has a new coach, and it's Micah Shrewsberry, the former Penn State head coach. What do you think he brings to this team heading into this season?
Well, he's coming from the Big Ten Conference, and the Big Ten is notorious for being very deep. And he had a really, really good run with Penn State last year, really turning things on at the end. But when he inherited the team and he took over for his first season, he was picking up from an 11-14 team. And then that next season, he only had 14 wins. So it might be a bit of a transition. It's going to take some time. But then the year after that, last season, his team had 24 wins and did really good, made a playoff run in the March Madness tournament, beating a really hot Texas A&M team. And he's going to bring grit and toughness to this team. He's mentioned it time and time again. He needs toughness, and that's what he wants to bring to this team. And I think that's going to be a really, really good addition this season.
Yeah, and one of the things I picked up on him, just seeing him go about taking the reins of this head coaching position to open a season this week, is that he really tried to connect with the Notre Dame community, the students. You asked that great question in the opening press conference about his pitch to students to come out and watch these early games, and he was really adamant about riding with this team and having something to believe in. And we've already seen him supporting other Notre Dame campus sports on social media. But like you said, Trey, Coach Shrewsberry is going to bring that Big Ten style of play, that gritty, not pretty, to win games mentality. Penn State had a couple really big wins. You remember how good that Northwestern team was down the stretch. Now I have teams like Purdue and Indiana at home. Penn State beat them twice in overtime, once at Walsh Ryan Arena, once at the United Center in the Big Ten tournament. Micah Shrewsberry can win those types of games. That's going to be a big factor as you get into ACC play. We'll see how well it translates over, that gritty style of Big Ten, that slower type of play, but it could certainly prove some big, gritty, tough wins late in games.
Yeah, it's when you have a coach that is all in on his players, it makes for this. You mentioned his press conference. We have a clip here of what he said of why everyone should be supporting this Notre Dame men's basketball team.
There's a purity to this place, right? I see people show up at a lot of places and the coaches are doing bad stuff, man. The players are doing bad stuff and they show up and celebrate that. Like, if you can't get behind this group right here, like then you're not like us then. You're not like us, man. These are great kids. And you can support these kids. And you can be a part of this trajectory, right? Like, show up. If you don't show up, it means you're really busy or you believe that we're going to be 15th in the ACC. I don't prepare like we're 15th in the ACC. Not at all. I prepare like we're going to the tournament. I prepare like we're going to the national championship game. And that's how those guys give up their hearts every single day, while still going to class, while still doing everything to be really good basketball players. But they're fighting for Notre Dame, man. Like, show up and support them in that same exact way. Just give us one chance. Just give us one chance. If you don't like us, don't come back. Don't come back. But if you do like us, you'll be like, man, I was here from the start when this thing takes off, because it's taking off. It's taking off, and it's taking off in a hurry.
How can't you get behind the guy when he says that? Like, there's just no way around it. When you want to fire somebody up, you want me to go play basketball. I'm 5'6". Let's go, coach. Like, I'm ready. I am all ready for this. But now you ultimately look at this. This is a team that doesn't have much here. It's young. He mentions it. Be here from the start, because he acknowledges this season might not be what you hoped for. How many wins do you think Notre Dame men's basketball gets?
Yeah, it's a back and forth with Louisville for bottom of the barrel in the ACC. We know that. It's been a storyline heading into the season. Most people picking Notre Dame to finish last right now, but I've got a little more belief in the ceiling than I do doubt in the floor here. I think Coach Shrewsberry can produce some of those closer wins that Notre Dame really struggled to come up with in that low-win ACC regular season a year ago. You look at those games against teams like Georgia Tech, Louisville, Boston College, potentially winnable games for Notre Dame that slipped away last season. With Coach Shrewsberry using more of his depth, preaching toughness, defense, and winning by any means necessary, I think we'll see more of those wins. I don't think it's going to be much more than 10, but I'll go in the 11 to 12 win range here.
I'm right there with him, man. I'm thinking between 9 and 12 seems to be a reasonable range for me, and that's not very optimistic. But as you said, basically everyone picking Notre Dame to finish either 14th or 15th in the ACC conference. Most of the wins are probably going to come out of conference. We don't have the most difficult schedule besides a few games against tough teams like Marquette, Auburn, and South Carolina. Besides that, should be about 6 to 7 out of conference wins, I believe this team can get. But somewhere in that 9 to 12 range is going to be my expectations for this team.
Yeah, when you look at this team, they have a lot to play for. I've got 13 wins. I think after that comment, I am optimistic. And I have been known as the pessimist on this show. Give me 13 wins. I think we're going to take 2 from Louisville, and I think we're going to sneak one by Georgia Tech as well in conference. And then non-con is slated for you to be a really strong team. That will do it for our men's basketball preview show For Tyler Reidy and Trey Cotey, I'm Jacob Iron saying so long from the second floor. Go Irish.